Hi, Wonder Class, and welcome to our Wednesday, the 30th of January 2021 science lesson. So, our learning objective for today's lesson is: can I recognize that living things can be grouped into a variety of ways? What does that mean? Let's have a look. So, last lesson, you were asked to explore your local area to identify living things. You may have noticed that different living things live in a variety of habitats. A habitat is a place where a living thing lives. um, which living things did you see? Can you remember the habitats in which you found them? And how were the living things and habitats similar and how were they different? Have a think about those things. Now, I really, really did want to say I enjoyed watching and reading your work that lots of you had posted onto Tapestry, especially your videos where you recorded yourself talking about um, living things in your area and why there weren't living things in your area, and the reason for that because animals have different living conditions and they live in different habitats. So that was really some great work to see. So there are 7 life processes that all living things do in order to stay alive. So some of you did complete the work on making a poster on one of those living things, um, and that was really great to see. So it says here there was a reason why you were asked to use make your poster. So use the poster that you design as a reminder of these life processes. So your 7 life processes: you've got movement, respiration, sensitivity, nutrition, excretion, reproduction, and growth. All of those 7 things are required for living things to be able to stay alive, including us. So today what we're going to be doing is sorting different living things out into, obviously, their different types. So let's have a look at what we've got on our screen. So look carefully at each of the photographs. You might want to pause the screen for a minute just to really have a look. Okay, and it says here there are about 8.9 million different types of living things on Earth, and they are all named. Can you write that number in words? Let's see if you could do that. That would be fun. Get your whiteboards out and see if you can write 8.9 million in words. So, which species do you think humans are the most similar to? So, which type of species of animal do you think that us as humans are the most similar to? So, let's have a think. Are we like cats? Or are we like fish? I mean, we do have qualities of different species, but what is the main species that we're closest to? Let's see. So here's a human, and there is a monkey. So humans are the most similar to apes. Chimps. In fact, around 98% of chimp genes, and the genes are the tiny parts in all your cells which give you certain characteristics. So your genes are inside of you, they're your cells, and what they are, they also help towards giving you your eye color, your hair color, and they're passed through your family through genes. um, so almost 98% of chimp genes are the same as human genes, but there are obvious differences in appearance and behavior. Can you think of some differences between chimps and humans? So chimps are much more hairy and they have a differently shaped jaw and nose. They move around on all 4 limbs. They have longer arms and shorter legs. So those are just some of the things which make the chimps different to humans. So we don't actually move around on all 4s forever. We do when we're a baby, and then when we grow up, we learn to stand and we move around on our feet. So sorting this large number of species into groups based on similarities helps people to know which living thing is being talked about. So scientists can be sure they are investigating the same species. 2 very large groups of living things are animals and plants. We are part of the animal kingdom. These groups are, however, still too big, about 7.8 million animal species, so they have to be subdivided. Animals are split into vertebrates and invertebrates. Can you explain what those words mean? Now, you might have heard of those words, and I know we've touched on this in year 2. For those of you that are taught in year 2, I remember we did touch on invertebrates and vertebrates. What do these words mean? Have a think before you carry on. So you might want to pause the video and see if you can maybe have a think about those two words. Okay, so here are some pictures of different animals on our screen. So invertebrates are, let's say the word together, invertebrates have no backbone. And vertebrates, they do have a backbone. A backbone is a spine. If you take your finger and go behind your back and run it all the way down, you can feel your spine. So an invertebrate has no spine, no backbone, and a vertebrate has a spine and it has a backbone, which is the same thing. So there are far more invertebrates than vertebrates. Some are very simple, but others are more complex, like insects, spiders. So here we can see some pictures of things which are invertebrates. They do not have a spine or a backbone. So I am a reptile, or am I a reptile or an amphibian? So click here to watch the clip about animal classification. So you can click onto this video and have a watch. I'm not going to play it because I don't want it to say I'm copywriting. So when you click onto the link, which will also be posted on the YouTube videos, you'll have to come out of the video, click the link and have a little watch on this video. Right, let's go back. So vertebrates are split again into fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals. Let's have a look at plants. So plants can be grouped into flowering and non-flowering. So for example, ferns and mosses plants. So flowering plants grow flowers and use seeds to reproduce or make more plants like them. Whereas non-flowering plants do not grow flowers. They use seeds or spores, very tiny parts of a plant that can be used to reproduce, to grow more plants just like them. Branching database. Scientists used a classification key to sort the millions of species of living things into groups and name them. Scientists use better classification keys, which are a list of clues and answers for identifying an organism. For example, finding out which species it is. It is a key for unlocking the identification of a living thing or other object. Compare this to the use of the word key on maps. New species are still being discovered, especially in more remote places like the deepest parts of the oceans or in the thick of the rainforest. Recent finds include a new jellyfish off the Italian coast, a new type of praying mantis in Rwanda, and some new dancing frogs in India. Try it yourself. Use a search engine to find more recent discoveries. When scientists find a species, they try to classify it by observing some of its features. Does it live on land? Does it lay eggs? Is its skin wet or dry? So this is how animals and things are put into classifications, is through this. The following slide will show you an example of a branching database called mini-beasts. So let's have a look. So mini-beasts are things such as spiders, woodlouse, snails, ladybirds, earthworms, and an earwig. So number 1, it says answer the question. Number 2, follow the lines. And number 3, soon enough, you should find out the name of the insect you were thinking of. So, does it have legs? Yes or no? Does it have an antennae? Yes or no? So where it says, does it have legs? And if you said no, and then the next question is, does it have an antennae? If you said no, then it's an earthworm, because an earthworm does not have legs and it does not have an antennae. However, does it have legs? No. Does it have an antennae? Yes. A snail. So snails don't have legs, but yes, they do have an antennae. So it's classified as a snail. Does it have legs? Yes. Does it have 6 legs? If you said no, it goes on to another question. Is its body in 2 main parts? If its body is in 2 main parts, then if its body is not in 2 main parts, then it is a woodlouse. But if it is in is in two main parts, then it is a spider. So let's go back. Does it have legs? Yes. Does it have 6 legs? Yes. Does it have pinchers? Well, no. If it doesn't have pinchers, it's a ladybird. And if it does have pinchers, it's an earwig. So this is just a way of classifying these mini beasts. So the next slide shows another way of classifying things. So here is another way of classifying things. Number 1, does it have legs? Yes. Go to number 2. Does it have 6 legs? Yes. Go to number 4. So it just tells you how to maneuver a way around in numbers. So here is your task for today's lesson. The first task is explain each life process and give an example. For example, all living things reproduce. A dog reproduces by giving birth to puppies. So what you're going to do is go back to Mrs. Gren and start at the first one of movement. Give an example of an animal that moves, and that's how I will know you understand each of the life processes. Task number 2 is venture outside and create a list of local habitats in your area. You should have already done this last lesson. Take some pictures and some videos if you haven't already done task number 2. And task number 3 is to create a branching database for the living things that you have seen in your local area. So make sure to use a ruler. So what you might do is go back to this and see if you can create one of these branching databases to help you look identify the animal. So what you might do is you might actually write down on a piece of paper all of the things that you've seen when you went outside or when you looked outside. So you might say you're looking at you found some ants, you found some spiders, you found a ladybird, you've seen a slug on the floor, you might have seen a worm in between the mud. Those are the 5 things you might start off with. Then you're going to start off with a general question. So those things that I've mentioned, some have legs and some don't have legs. So you're going to differentiate the 2 things. Does it have legs? Yes. That's going to set you off onto the yes section. Does it have legs? No. That's going to set you off with the things that you've seen outside which don't have legs. And then you can go from there. I would suggest that you use this slide here that I've come back to really help you with that. It will be quite tricky at first. If you do find that activity a little bit difficult, what I would suggest for task 3 to also intervene between that task is to possibly see if you can make a list of 2 things: animals that are invertebrates and animals that are vertebrates. So you can just start to see things like that more clearer first before you move on to creating a branching database. That might be a bit more helpful. So that's all from me today, guys. Good luck with your activities. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them. I will come back to them in the live lesson. So just make sure you're prepared for the live lesson, because I think we will have a few questions in this week's live science lesson. See you later, everybody.